Kathy Collins is a retired school teacher who lives in Helena, Montana. As with many people with disabilities, Kathy has never allowed hers to prevent her from accomplishing anything she really wanted to do. And in her entire adult life, Kathy Collins has never missed a chance to exercise her constitutionally protected right to vote.
I think the government and people who advocate for people with disabilities have made a much greater effort to make sure that polling places are accessible, not just with ramps, but accessible for people who are have vision impairments, people who are hearing impaired, people who have cognitive disorders. And the freedom that we experience now to vote is incredible. And what is more incredible is how many people with disabilities don't take advantage of it.
Hello, I'm Nancy Harper. In this short presentation, we're going to take a look at the voting process for people with disabilities, how to register, and then how to vote on Election Day. And if you're an election official, we're going to show you how you can prepare your polling place to make it more accessible for all Montanans, including the 20% of us with disabilities. Before you can vote, first you have to register. You can do that by mail up to 30 days before an election, or you can register in person anytime up to and including Election Day. To vote, you must be a citizen of the U.S., at least 18 on or before the next election, and a Montana resident for at least 30 days. If you meet those requirements, all you need to do to register is fill out a registration form and submit it to the election office. If you cannot sign, you may use an identifying mark or fingerprint. Or you may designate a trusted friend or family member as your agent for voting, who then may sign for you. To designate an agent, you must fill out an agent form, available at the Secretary of State's website or your local election office.
Helpful hint number 1. Don't have someone sign election documents for you, unless they are your agent. Your signature is crucial for election officials to confirm that you are a legally registered voter.
Once you've registered, you're ready to vote. There are 2 ways you can vote in Montana: absentee and at the polling place. You can request an absentee ballot when you register to vote. You can also get an absentee ballot request form from the Montana Secretary of State's office or your county elections office.
Absentee voting is very important for people with disabilities, particularly people who have needed to go to the hospital and are in some sort of a medical facility. This way the ballot can actually be delivered to them in the hospital and they're still able to cast their vote. That being said, we also need to make sure that people with disabilities can access polling places. Being able to vote absentee, being able to vote at a polling place are equally important. It maximizes the opportunity for people with disabilities to be able to vote and be part of the voting process.
Give the post office plenty of time to deliver your completed ballot or drop it off at the elections office as late as Election Day.
Helpful hint number 2. If you are going to register in person in the 30 days before an election, you should do so as early as possible. Also, your absentee ballot must arrive at the elections office by 8 p.m. on Election Day.
The local polling place is a popular way to vote, and it should be accessible to all people with disabilities.
The first time I voted, I was unable to go to the polls and, do it myself, so I had to do an absentee vote. But as far as the difference between absentee ballot and actually going to the polling place, there's a huge difference. It's the interaction with people. Being kept up in your house just because, they wouldn't want to make the place accessible is kind of ridiculous because everybody needs that interaction with people.
There are a variety of obstacles that can make a polling place inaccessible. The best way to identify these obstacles is to travel the path from the point of view of a person with a disability.
There's several things that can be done to make a voting facility more accessible. That doesn't have to be expensive. One of the things you could do is just do a simple walkthrough. What you're looking for is furniture in the way, potted plants in the way, propping open any doors that might be pretty heavy, removing any floor mats that could prove dangerous. Any of that can be done with little or no expense and make it more accessible.
Helpful hint number 3. To check for accessibility, put yourself in the place of someone with a disability.
If you're unable to enter your polling place because of a disability, you have the right to request one that is accessible. Be sure to do so at least 7 days before the election. Another option is curbside voting. Call ahead and tell election officials you wish to vote from your car. They will bring you the register and ballot to ensure you have a chance to vote safely and privately. If you do vote inside, you will typically check in by providing your photo ID, current bill, or registration card, and signing the precinct register. An election worker should offer you assistance, give you your ballot, and show you where to vote. If there is a line, chairs should be offered to seniors or people with disabilities that make it difficult for them to stand for extended periods. Here too, if you cannot sign, an identifying mark or fingerprint is acceptable, or your agent could sign for you. Also, if you have a sight impairment, you should be provided with a ruler or other tool to help you sign in the right place. Extra large pens or pencils should be available for people with limited mobility in their hands. Privacy is crucial to the voting process, and no matter what your disability, you have the right to be able to vote in private. Either larger booths to accommodate wheelchairs or tables with privacy screens are acceptable ways to ensure that people with disabilities enjoy privacy when casting their ballots. Remember, you're allowed to have your agent, other helpers, or election judges assist you to vote. However, this person may not be your employer, a representative of your employer, or your union.
Helpful hint number 4. It is your choice whether you choose someone to help you vote. Whomever you choose should not tell you how you must vote.
The voting process for people with disabilities has improved in recent years through the use of AutoMark ballot marking technology. Polling places in all of Montana's 56 counties now offer this technology. These machines help voters with reading, sight, or mobility impairments to cast their ballots privately and independently. Polling places should have judges available who can explain how to use the AutoMark machine and provide you with any equipment you need to use it, such as headphones or a sip-puff switch. The AutoMark machine should be set up at a table that has at least 27 inches of clearance for a wheelchair and oriented in a way so that other voters cannot see the screen and far enough away from others to provide privacy.
My mother was a polling judge, so I started being totally aware of voting long before I was able to vote. It's always been very important. And when I had to ask for help, that made it difficult. It wasn't independent voting then. The machine has enabled me to vote entirely independent with ease.
What happens if you get to your polling place and some question arises concerning your eligibility to vote? The voting official should give you a clear reason why your eligibility might be an issue and tell you how you can cure it. Unless the problem is that you've come to the wrong precinct, you should ask for a provisional ballot like this one. This way, you can preserve your vote until the problem can be resolved. If you are in the wrong precinct, ask an official to contact the election office to help you find the location of your correct polling place. In our system, the vote of a person with disabilities counts just as much as that of the President of the United States. It is your right and your duty to vote for what you believe in, whether you vote absentee or in person, whether you complete your ballot by hand or by automark. This election and every election, make sure your voice is heard. Vote. Thank you.
I've been in a voting situation where they had to bring all the material outside, and I voted on the sidewalk, and the woman who had given me the ballot and something to write on was watching me vote. And as I made my mark, she said, "Good for you." And so now it's go to the polling place and roll up to the machine and make my mark, and nobody's cheering me on but me.
And like I've said before, it's just the independence and empowerment of the assistive technology, but applying it to, not just surviving, but making a difference in the community and society as a whole.
The first thing that you can check with the machine is whether it's screen on or screen off. You turn the screen off and you listen. And only you can tell how you're voting, even if somebody stands there and watches you. It's totally independent.
I think it's very worthwhile to make voting available to as many individuals as possible, and it's not a lot of trouble to make the auto marks available. It's not a lot of trouble to make the polling places accessible. It's very worthwhile, and it's a good thing to do for all.
And I think often a non-disabled person doesn't realize how important that activity of voting is, and when the person with a disability casts that ballot, how much they feel a part of a community in being able to do that. It's just incredibly rewarding to watch someone, particularly when they have done that for the very first time. It's just really exciting.